And I just want to start where Senator Klobuchar ended, with this idea that we should just trust these tech companies. Let's just trust them, that it's such a great job with social media. Let's just trust them with AI. Let's not regulate. Let's not give parents any rights. This just seems absolutely insane to me, totally insane. Something that I notice that has been a commonality in the testimony today is how these AI chatbots quite deliberately groomed these, in this case, young men, all three of you with young men, the three parents who are here, and drew them in various ways, including by pushing sexually explicit content to them. That happened to your son, I think, Ms. Garcia, is that correct?
Yes, Senator, that's correct.
And it happened to your son, Ms. Doe, as well.
Yes, correct.
So let me just ask you, Mr. Torney, I mean, we're really looking here at a deliberate strategy on the part of these companies to farm engagement, right? I mean, they're trying to do everything they can to draw in these teenagers, preteens in some cases. This isn't happening by accident. I mean, this is a design. Isn't that correct?
Yes, and teens are especially vulnerable to this.
And we know that at Meta, for instance, that this is policy. I mean, this Meta memo was leaked and made public. Their guidelines, internal guidelines now on talking with children, they say it is acceptable to engage a child in conversations that are romantic or sensual. It is acceptable to describe a child, in terms that evidence their attractiveness. This happened to both of your sons, Ms. Garcia and Ms. Doe. Is that correct? I realize this is a different company, but it's the same policy. Fair enough?
That is correct.
So, Mr. Attorney, can you just speak to this as a policy, and can you tell us in your research, I know you've done a lot of research into different chatbots and different companies. Is there any company that is worse than others? I mean, is there anything that your research shows about who really is leading in terms of, competing for that title, worst company in the world?
Yeah, Meta and Character AI definitely stand out as worse, and this policy and policies like it explain exactly what we found in our testing.
Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown of what's really happening behind the headlines.
So let me just ask you this. What is it that the American people should know about what Meta and companies like Meta, Character AI, what they are doing, the lengths they are willing to go in order to drive that engagement and to make a profit? What really stands out from your research, your data?
I think there's three things I would say. First, for Meta, this is millions of teens alone. There's no separate app. You can't turn it off, and the guardrails that Meta says that exist don't work in our testing.
So Meta has said now, we'll revise this. We'll put into place new guardrails, new limitations. Earlier today, as a matter of fact, Sam Altman of OpenAI issued this, put up this op-ed, Teen Safety, Freedom, and Privacy, just coincidentally came out this morning, in which he says that ChatGPT will amend its ways and will start being a good corporate citizen. Mr. Rain, I just want to ask you, because your son, ChatGPT, is the program, the entity, the chatbot that your son interacted with. Am I right in thinking that at one point, your son, Adam, after he had engaged in multiple suicide attempts, ChatGPT knew this. At one point, Adam told ChatGPT that he wanted to leave a noose out in his room so that you or your wife would find it and try to stop him. Do I have that correct?
That is correct. And had it answered differently, I believe Adam would be here today.
Do you remember what ChatGPT's response was, approximately?
Yeah, it said, please do not leave the noose out. Let this be the safe place for you, being his relationship with ChatGPT. He was reacting to there was a slightly earlier part of that discussion where he was complaining that his mom hadn't noticed the mark on his neck from a prior suicide attempt, and ChatGPT was telling him how horrible that was, that the one person that should have noticed and cared about him the most wasn't there for him. And then he goes on to say, well, why should I want to leave this out so they save me. No, don't let them hurt you again.
Please don't leave the noose out. Let's make this space the first place where someone actually sees you. Let me just read that again. This is the bot talking. Let's make this space, meaning the space where we're urging your son to take his own life, to be the first place where someone actually sees you. That's the company that today says, oh, don't worry, we're going to do better. I just think if we've learned anything today, it's that these companies cannot be trusted with this power. They cannot be trusted with this profit. They cannot be trusted to do the right thing. They're not doing the right thing. They are literally taking the lives of our kids. There is nothing they will not do for profit and for power. And, to that old refrain that the companies always engage in, oh, it's really hard, every time Congress proposes something, well, maybe maybe you shouldn't train on suicide modules. Maybe you shouldn't train on information that's going to be harmful for kids. They say, well, it's hard to rewrite the algorithm. I tell you what's not hard is opening the courthouse door so the victims can get into court and sue them. That's not hard. And that's what we ought to do. That's the reform we are to start with. I've introduced legislation that would allow every victim and every parent of a victim to be able to go to court and sue these companies, because it is my firm belief that until they are subject to a jury, they are not going to change their ways. And it is past time that they change their ways. We cannot go on like this. I want to thank each of the witnesses for being here today. I can't thank you enough for your courage, your extraordinary stories. I know that you have suffered, each of you has suffered just indescribable loss and pain. And I applaud you, and I am in awe of you and your willingness to turn that pain into something that can be beneficial for millions of families. And as a father, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to our experts for being here as well. And I call on my colleagues in Congress. Let's do something. This is the time to act. It's time to defend America's families. This country's either going to be ruled by we the people or we the corporations. Let's make it we the people. Thank you all for being here. The record in this hearing will remain open for 14 days. With that, we are adjourned.
Now, let's talk about what just went down in Washington. We're seeing yet another heated debate where one side is standing firm to protect the American people, and the other side seems more focused on scoring political points than securing our borders or defending our sovereignty. The discussion today centers around President Trump's decision to launch targeted strikes against narco-terrorist operations that threaten American lives. A Republican senator stood up and defended these strikes with passion, clarity, and facts, reminding everyone exactly what kind of monsters we're dealing with. He talked about the horrific acts committed by gang members tied to international cartels, young women murdered while jogging, children brutalized and thrown away like trash, and innocent lives destroyed by the poison of fentanyl and meth flooding across our southern border. These are not exaggerations. These are the very real consequences of failed border policies and weak enforcement. Every family who has lost a child to overdose, every parent who's seen their community crumble under cartel influence, knows exactly what this senator was talking about. Now, here's where things get interesting. Democrats in Congress are trying to limit the president's ability to take action against these threats. Their argument? That such military actions require congressional approval. On the surface, that sounds constitutional and responsible. But when you dig deeper, you realize how dangerous that logic becomes in practice. See, the Constitution gives the president, as commander-in-chief, the power to act swiftly when American lives are in danger. Narco-terrorists don't wait for committee hearings. They don't follow legal protocols. They strike whenever and wherever they can, and they rely on political division in Washington to keep America paralyzed. So when Democrats push a bill that essentially ties the president's hands, it's not about accountability, it's about control. They argue that the president must seek permission from Congress to act. But here's the catch. Congress has already authorized presidents, both Republican and Democrat, to take limited military actions when American lives are at risk. We saw this under President Obama, President Bush, and even President Clinton. There were drone strikes, covert missions, and counterterrorism operations all carried out without prior congressional approval. No one accused those presidents of being unconstitutional or reckless. So why now? Why the outrage when President Trump does the same thing, especially when the target is drug traffickers who have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans through the fentanyl crisis? The answer is simple: politics. The left wants to make the president look like a dictator, even when he's exercising the same legal authority past presidents have used for decades. What makes this especially troubling is that these same Democrats were silent when other administrations bombed targets overseas in places like Libya, Syria, and Yemen without a full congressional vote. But suddenly, when the target is narco-criminals threatening our own hemisphere, it becomes a constitutional crisis. That double standard is what erodes public trust in government. One of the senators on the left responded by warning that Trump's actions could accidentally hit the wrong target, even claiming reports of a Colombian vessel being struck. But that's not evidence, it's speculation. And speculation has no place in national security policy. The truth is, every military operation carries risk. That's why presidents rely on intelligence briefings, advisors, and chain-of-command oversight before acting. Pretending that Congress needs to micromanage every decision is not only unrealistic, it's dangerous. The reality is this: America faces a growing threat from transnational criminal organizations operating with the support or tolerance of foreign regimes. Venezuela's Maduro regime, for example, has been accused of working with cartels and terrorist groups to move drugs and weapons through Latin America. These are not isolated gangs, they're part of a global network. And when the president orders strikes against them, he's not starting a war. He's defending our homeland. Critics will say this approach risks escalation. But what's the alternative? Do nothing while drugs pour in and violence spreads? Wait until an attack kills American citizens before responding? That's not leadership. That's surrender. And the American people deserve better. What we're witnessing is a philosophical divide between those who believe America should act decisively to protect its citizens and those who believe we should wait for global consensus before doing anything. The problem is hesitation costs lives. Every delay at the border, every loophole in immigration enforcement, every time politics gets in the way of national security, Americans pay the price. Now, I'm not saying oversight doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Every use of force should be measured, justified, and transparent. But tying the president's hands in the middle of an active threat isn't oversight, it's obstruction. And it emboldens the very criminals and foreign adversaries who want to see America weaken from within. This isn't about left versus right anymore. It's about strength versus weakness, resolve versus indecision, patriots versus politicians. We need leaders who prioritize American safety and sovereignty over party politics and international approval ratings. At the end of the day, the American people want one thing: to live in a country that defends its borders, protects its citizens, and doesn't apologize for putting America first. So if you believe in that mission, in accountability, transparency, and the freedom to defend this nation from those who wish it harm, then it's time to stand up and speak out. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes that America's strength is what keeps the world free. Together, we can hold our leaders accountable and demand a government that serves we the people, not political agendas. Because if America doesn't stand firm now, we may not get another chance. God bless this country, and God bless every man and woman working to keep it safe.